Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerf Herder Council.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. We are live at those two locations every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are watching on YouTube, do not forget to click that like button and click that subscribe button and smash that notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. And if you would like to get customizable Nerf Herder Council swag, just go to shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. And don't forget, if you'd like to catch audio replays of the show, just Google Nerf Herder Council podcast. Bring on my very good friend and co-host, AJ. It's good to see you, man.
Great to see you too, brother.
So let's hope my internet is actually working now, since my sound was trashed before we got on here. So,
Right.
Just let me know if it wonks up again. So obviously tonight we are going to be talking about episode 1 of season 3 of The Mandalorian, which just dropped today. So before we get to that, two quick things. Number one, this show is going to have spoilers. So if you have not watched the episode, you might want to turn it off. So we're going to spoil everything. So full disclosure there. But
Whoa, let me stop you right there, dude. We don't have the audience to tell anybody to stop watching us. So
we could try to be polite. We could try to be polite. Speaking of being polite, we do have something we'd like to talk about real quick, relating to a very good friend of ours. So I'll let you take this one away. So.
Yeah, anyone who's watching us on YouTube, you can see in the comments section, we've got Discuss Metal Joe in there. And that's a good friend of ours. He's got a couple podcasts. He's been on a couple WTF Fridays with me and whatnot. It's our buddy Joseph Wren. Unfortunately, his grandfather, after a protracted battle with his own health, finally left us recently over the last day or two. So just want to give a shout out to Joe and his family and say our heart goes out to you guys. It's never easy losing a loved one. Apparently, his drink of choice was bourbon with a little bit of water. So I've got some cask strength Maker's Mark, and that's what I'll be drinking throughout the evening here. Just pour one out for the legend.
I've got the water part. I wish I would have known it was bourbon and water. I got bourbon back there. I could have made so, but I got the water part. So to piggyback on what AJ said, Joe, we love you, man, and very sorry for your loss, and much love and many best wishes and prayers to you and your family. So love you, buddy. All right, so let's jump into this. How would you like to start? Overall impressions, or just
Yeah.
There is an explosion coming.
Yes.
Pretty much immediately. Yeah.
We're going to try something different on tonight's show.
Okay.
We're going to give our overall impressions, but usually it's just a disaster of a structure. But we're going to try like what real podcasters do. I've made notes about like the scenes throughout the episode, and we're going to just like run it down chronologically. So we will get to your meltdown, but your meltdown is not first.
No.
I would like to know, what do you think overall of the season premiere?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was telling Steph as soon as it started, like just a few minutes in, I was going, man, this stuff always turns me into a little kid. Anything new Star Wars, and I'm like, ooh, here we go. So I thought it was great. It was interesting because it kind of started out, you think it's just going to be all about he's going to go be a Mandalorian again, and all. But then they have 2 or 3 different little threads that they can pull on. And so you're like, okay, well, maybe it's not going to be so simple. So it was pretty interesting. I think they set up a few things, and I loved it. I thought the whole thing was great. It was very cool. What about you?
I was kind of surprised at how easily and neatly they were able to wrap up 2 seasons of television to get everybody caught up to where this episode picks up. Like, it was like 30 seconds tops of like, here's a clip from the first episode ever, and here's a clip from like the last episode of the first season, and here's a clip from the middle of season 2, and we're in. Like,
yeah. Was all that other shit necessary?
Right.
How did I just watch for 16
Like,
episodes?
I enjoyed the hell out of like 16 episodes, but they condensed it down to like 25 or 30 seconds. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Right. Yeah. It was, but it just goes to show the strength of the storytelling. And, once again, I sat there on my couch and I said out loud, not even to myself, I was like, man, I still can't believe how they got the writing of the story so wrong with the sequel trilogy when they obviously can do it so right with everything else. I mean, I love the sequel trilogy. I'm a fan of those movies, but man, oh man. I mean, woof, jeez. Yeah. I mean, our cousin's bringing something up in the chat that I will get to, but this is because we will get to that because I said the exact same thing. I said the exact same thing. Like, what character? One sentence. She gone.
Yep.
That was great. So, all right. So you're kind of leading this parade. So why don't we get this underway and I will let you take the lead here.
Yeah. All right. So we start with a scene on a beach. We don't know what planet, right? So we've got all the Mandalorians collected, which, by the way, were you kind of surprised to see like how well set up they were for being in a beach cave? Like the armorer's got her forge and there's tons of Mandalorians there. Like I thought they were all pretty much wiped out at this point. Like once the culvert was exposed in season 1, I thought they were scattered and done, right? Like that's the way we found them in Book of Boba Fett in that little interlude of 2 Mandalorian episodes that we had, right? Like it's just like her and the Vizsla dude, Jon Favreau's character.
Oh yeah.
Just like hanging out on a space station. Like that's all that's left. And now they've got like 40 people over here and we're going to put a kid in the club now. And like, wow, okay. They're doing better.
There's so few of them that was actually the Mandalorian mercs. That was a cosplay hangout.
It's just a bunch of fanboys.
It is. It was Favreau's guy and the armorer and then a bunch of Mando mercs. That's why everything was so colorful. It was all fan armor. That's why they couldn't do any damage to the giant alligator thing.
Right.
It was all bullshit fake weapons. Didn't you notice the orange tips on all the
I was gonna say, did they have to like Photoshop out all the orange zip ties on the blasters and stuff?
They missed a couple, and there's like celebration lanyards flopping around.
I was just gonna say,
them.
yeah. Damn it, we left a lanyard in there.
Where's the mashup meetup? Shut up, we're supposed to be filming.
Oh, come on. That guy doesn't even have a chest plate. He's wearing a Dexter's Cafe shirt.
It was just a celebration hangout, and they filmed it and stuck it at the beginning of the episode.
Right.
Nice. Yeah. So apparently there's more, and I guess what I kind of gathered from that is that they're kind of congregating, like, they're all spread out like Mando is himself, like, Din Djarin, and they kind of are coming together, I would say. That's kind of the way that I read it. I mean, it is kind of weird they go from like 3 people to a bunch, but there has to be more than what we saw in the previous season, so that didn't really surprise me. Honestly, it surprised me that it was more colorful than I thought it would be. That was kind of Mandalorian Merc-ish, and I know that in Clone Wars they've got a lot of varying colors on them and stuff, but that was a lot more than I kind of expected because there was a lot of the blues and grays in season 2. So, but yeah, I thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. It was, anytime you see Mandos, it's cool. It's the armor's great, so I loved it.
Yeah, the other thing that struck me is that like everyone was really colorful, yeah, but also not scarred up at all. Like these people have not seen action from what it looks like. Like I don't know if they're just like scattered throughout the galaxy and not fighting anybody, but man, their armor was fresh and they really sucked in battle. Like damn, dude, they were getting their asses kicked. These are supposed to be like great warriors of the galaxy, like the Klingons of Star Wars, but they were just getting shredded, man.
Well,
were you surprised by that?
Not really, because I mean, getting into it, I mean that like the giant alligator thing comes out of the water. I mean, geez, oh man, here it comes. Tommy, we are getting to that in a minute. Don't worry. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Believe me. What you all came to see is coming shortly. But yeah, I wasn't surprised because I literally said out loud, I'm like, they got shitty weapons for fighting something like this.
Mhm.
And so I thought it was cool when they went and they did the explosives on the back. I'm like, okay, that's something. But I mean, it was cool, but again, they're known for being bounty hunters, not slayers of gigantic creatures. So their weaponry is more suited for like a one-on-one battle with something they're close to their own size.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
basically what it showed was that they have no strategy. They just have really good weapons. And when their weapons aren't suited to the task, they're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
It was really funny, actually. I'm like, these guys are pretty terrible. They're supposed to be fearsome warriors, and they are getting thrashed. It was like not even a fight.
I was waiting for one of them to get like stepped on in the water. I thought that would have been kind of cool, Just have
I
one
was
of them
waiting
get
for
like,
the same.
just completely get smushed. It would have been awesome if it was the little kid that was like getting, he's getting sworn in as a Mando, and the first thing that happens is he narrowly avoids being eaten, and then he's in the water like, oh, whew, and just gets stuffed into the mud by like this giant alligator thing.
By the
Like-
way, is it against the Mando creed to just leave the beach?
I was just gonna bring that up. Like, how about run back into the cave?
Yeah.
It's not like the thing's gonna chase you, and if it does, it'll get bored and go back in the water. Like,
Plus, why the hell are you like baptizing these kids in water that has this like 400-foot tall or long crocodile in it? That's a really dumb place to do it.
well, I mean, you're talking about a creed.
Basically, what they were doing? They were basically just holding a baptism in Florida. That was a sewer alligator gone awry. That's it.
Was.
Yeah, I was like, hey, you know what? We're gonna baptize this kid. Should we do it here in the church? Nah, let's do it in the pond over there.
Right.
Okay.
Look at our cousin. The ceremony wasn't finished. That kid isn't a Mandalorian. This is the way.
That's right. Actually, he never swore to take off his helmet. He got interrupted. So yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna
Of course,
say.
if
like,
I was that kid, then I'd be like, fuck it, I'm
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I'm leaving. Yeah, but I mean, like, it's like this is not a very smart bunch of people in certain ways. Like, okay, if you take your helmet off, you can't be one of us. Okay, what if you got to puke? Like, what are you just
Ooh.
gonna like? What? How do you clean that out? Like, if you're a Mandalorian and you can't take off your helmet, like what if you get like, okay, you can't
How do you
have
brush your teeth?
Yeah, exactly. What kind of breath do they have? Wouldn't that be great? Like, yeah, our cousin they have to they drink all smoothies. They drink all smoothies, but yeah. So I mean, to keep things moving here, yeah, I thought it was cool. Like having a giant beast to fight right off the bat was really cool, and then of course Din Djarin comes flying in, and that was right when I was like, they need better weapons than this. And then here comes Din Djarin. I was like, oh hell yeah! Like at first I thought it might have been a flashback of some kind.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought for a second it was like, is this Din being indoctrinated in flashback?
Yeah,
But clearly not. But two more things I noticed in the scene. First, the armorer was always going after protecting people. So like as much as she was the asshole who told Din like, you're out, you took your helmet off, she never really like fought anything. She was like going to save her comrades. So she's apparently like not the asshole we thought she was to a degree. And the other thing, it's nice that this season already got its let's kill a giant beast quota out of the way. Because,
yeah,
right? Like in the first season, we had one. We had, we had the Mudhorn. The Mudhorn was in the first season. And then we had the Crate Dragon in the second season.
Yep.
And now we got this giant ass crocodile or whatever the hell it was. So, all right, we're good.
Right.
Apparently, they're savages, man. They just love murdering giant animals.
Apparently so. As my wife said, boy, Pete is going to get on their ass for this.
Right? Damn.
Dan
And let's not
Holmes-
forget about the ice spiders.
Yeah, fuck them. They're spiders. Dan Long says, we've seen Mando drink soup by lifting his helmet up a little bit, so maybe the same logic applies to vomiting. Very good point, Dan. Very good point.
Soup in, soup out. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So Din Djarin comes in and saves the day, and the armor is
then-
like, the armor is like, yeah, you're not a Mandalorian. I'd be like, bitch, I just saved you
Right?
from getting eaten. Like, what do I got to do? Oh no, you may have saved us from a certain horrible death at the hands of a giant sea beast, but god damn it, you took your helmet off. So F you.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I would just kick her square in the ass. I'd be like, up yours, man. You know you took that thing off at some point. Don't be lying.
You're right. Tommy L with a good point. I forgot about the ice beast that they had to electrocute to let go of the ship in the very first episode of the series. So,
yeah. Tommy says even the first episode had that ice beast. That means every premiere has had a monster attack in it. So for season 4, that means we need to place bets on whether or not there's a giant monster attack.
Well, maybe if you're lucky, you specifically, the next giant beast to be killed will be the one that was spotted in hyperspace as they're flying away.
Is that
you
next?
Want to take this one? You want me to just go solo? You go solo
Yes.
on this one. I'll just bow out for a second here.
Fuck those goddamn Purgles! I can't fucking believe those fucking things were in goddamn live action. I saw that and I was like, Dave Filoni, fuck you. Fuck you up your ass. Fuck you for putting those stupid things in space. Don't even fucking think about bringing those things into an actual episode and making them do something except fucking explode on the screen and fucking explode out of existence in the Star Wars universe. Because those universe, what the fuck? He's rolling. Anyway, the fucking Purgles suck, and I can't believe they did that. That was horrible. As soon as I saw those, I went, oh, no. Then they had to show like 7 of the goddamn things. I'm like, I swear to God, if they bring these fuckers in, oh, I hate them. Oh, it's even worse they brought it in. It's a horrible idea. Let it go. Space whales suck, and you suck too, Dave Filoni. The rest of the episode was awesome.
And we're back. You good, John? Is your blood pressure coming down?
I
You
hate
doing
those
okay?
things.
Do you need a cookie?
It's like he put him in the background because he knows that people think they're dumb. And he's like, but I really like them. Here's the Purgles. Fuck off. They're terrible. It's a horrible shit idea. It's a whale in space, you moron. The hell is that? The hell is that? A goddamn animal that goes through hyperspace? Bullshit.
Joe, he's gonna send arsenic to your house, man. You're getting a bag of anthrax. I swear to God. Joe says soon we'll find out Skywalker rode the whales. I'm done.
No.
I can't
No.
handle it.
No. And then our cousin, I want a live action Bendu. That one I would be really pissed off at, but I don't hate it as much as the Purgles. That was just absolutely shit awful. As
soon as I saw that, oh my God, I was like, why am I not live streaming this? Like that would be a reaction video for the ages.
Steph is like, what the hell are you yelling about? What? I'm like, the space whales. She goes, are those things in the back? I said, yes.
By the way, in his new house, he's watching in the basement, and she's upstairs hearing this.
I was watching in the big because Steph likes Mando, so we were watching on the big
Okay.
television upstairs, which means she didn't have the entire floor, buffering. It was me just hollering about 5 feet to her right. But that was terrible. I mean, honestly, if that had not been in there, this episode might be considered perfect in my book. But it's like showing that, like, jeez.
Our buddy Chris Mock chiming in.
Mock,
Mocktails from the cantina.
You almost just got a spoiler because I just went on a rant about something so goddamn stupid. And you might not even get it because you don't like the animated stuff. So since you're not an animation guy, you might not know of the thing that I hate the most in Star Wars. And it fucking appeared in this episode. And thankfully it was just a little, hey, remember these? So, but anyways, buddy, if you don't want spoilers, we're about to keep spoiling shit. So like, don't.
Yeah, exactly. Nice to see you. Bye.
Yep. You rock too, Chris, man. Great to see you, brother. Appreciate you.
Something I did want to bring up, though, my little tinfoil hat conspiracy theory with the Purgles. Entirely unnecessary to this episode, right?
Yeah.
So
Unnecessary to Star Wars.
basically, what this confirms is that we are getting a Rebels follow-up, I think. Because why would they even bother to introduce a live-action audience to Purgles if they weren't trying to prep them for the idea of Thrawn got carried off by space whales in a cartoon?
Can we just address that for a quick second? Fucking Han Solo. Oh, jumping to hyperspace ain't like dust and crops, boy. You got to put all this crap in the computer. No, but a goddamn sperm whale can just hop around the galaxy in hyperspace without a problem. Fuck you. Oh, Oh, God. Why didn't somebody at that writing table go, Dave, what is your problem? And I'm sorry for all the F-bombs. We try not to do that bad. But why didn't somebody go, up your ass, Filoni? That is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. Seriously, what happens when the whales take a shit in hyperspace? What happens to that?
It travels at light speed. It comes out of hyperspace somewhere and hits a planet. It's light speed whale shit.
That's what we need is like right at one of the shows when someone's just about to die. It's like a hyperspeed chase, and there's no possible way they could beat the villain. The villain's ship all of a sudden just blows up in a brown cloud. You're like, what the hell is that? Oh, it's like
Space turd.
That would make as much sense as a goddamn whale going through hyperspace.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Look at, oh, man, everybody's trying. Tommy L says the Bendu was actually a Purgle the whole time. He's damn close. Cousin Chris says they really tie the galaxy together. And then Dan Long, it's like bird migration versus GPS. It really is. That's too scientific. Let's just say that Purgles are fucking stupid and suck and move on.
Right.
Okay. One thing I did notice right off the bat is there seemed to be a few more gratuitous shots of Grogu, which I don't have a problem with, but there was definitely like a let's make sure we get the shots of Grogu in here. Let's make sure that everybody's like, oh, they get their cute quotient, because I think they know now there's people tuning in solely for him. So
Did they improve that puppet, by the way? Because man, that looked good.
Yeah, I mean, you would assume they did. I mean, the show's a few years old now, and obviously technology improves, so you would assume the quality of the puppet has improved.
Oh, the other thing that I noticed in the hyperspace scene, I didn't think that they never called attention to this last year when he got the new ship, but apparently there's like a tunnel between the bubble and the cockpit, because he's watching the Purgles, and then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna crawl up in Daddy's lap instead. So he's like down, because I was like, does that mean like every time they get into like the ship, like Grogu goes up here and he's just stuck there? Like, hope you're okay up there, kid, because I'm down here. Like, no, apparently he can just like go back and forth between them. I was like, okay.
That's
and of course that was adorable too. Like he crawls up in Din's lap. Like, Jesus, come on.
Right. All right. Last thing on the Purgles to answer our cousin's question: is the light speed travel why you hate them? There are creatures that live in space in Star Wars. Yeah, that's exactly why I hate them. It's fucking stupid. And not only is it stupid, but when in Rebels, when they basically made them the hero of the whole goddamn series, and completely ruined a kick-ass character like Thrawn by having him just like sucked away by space whales, it was horrible. It's a terrible idea. So, anyway, all right. So they're flying through light speed, and then we get to Navarro.
Yes. So a very different Navarro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I do want to call attention to one thing. There was an interview that Filoni and come on, I'm blanking out. Jon Favreau. Jesus. They've been doing the press junket lately, right? And the timeline of Mandalorian has always been a little bit slippery. Apparently, like Grogu was on the planet with Luke for like 2 years, roughly. It seemed like it was like blink and it's done, but like time's always been a little bit slippery in Star Wars anyway. But I'm glad that they clarified that a little bit, because if you flash to Navarro now compared to like where it was in season 1, and you're like, wait a minute, 2 years only have passed and it looks this good now. Like this much has happened. Like, no, apparently it's been like 7 or 8 years. So
wow, okay,
it makes more sense. Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, but so we've got High Magistrate. Make sure High Magistrate. Grief Karga.
Right.
Dude, Carl Weathers is the best, right? Like that guy.
Yes.
It's like one of my favorite characters now.
The whole thing is just great. I mean, it was like this episode just totally met expectations. Like you wait all this time for some new Mando, and it was just great. And you get familiar characters back, but they've updated them, and of course they go up into his office to talk, and then you got Grogu spinning himself in a chair, and then he like force grabs some like Reese's Pieces or whatever the hell they are. So you got the gratuitous Grogu Force moment, and I mean it's awesome. It's just really really cool.
I was thinking of Han Solo in The Force Awakens, like, that's not how the Force works.
Exactly.
Like, seriously, this kid's using the Force to spin himself in a chair and summon candies? Okay.
I mean, weren't you, though, when you sit down and they show the shot, like you could see there's like a bowl of something on the table, weren't you like, okay, Grogu's going to grab some of that and eat it?
Right.
You just know that's what's going to happen, so...
And of course, like in previous seasons, he would have crawled up there and gotten it, but instead he's just like, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I got a little fat, between seasons, because now he knows he can use the Force. He doesn't have to actually go do things. It's like, I'm not going to walk across the room to get that. I'm just going to bring it to me. So,
right. I mean, that bowl was basically nothing but pink Starburst anyway. I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah, right. So, yeah, no, I thought it was cool. I like the look of Navarro. I thought that was it was this like lawless land, and now it's built up and it's kind of regal looking, and Grief Karga's this good guy. It's almost like a Lando Calrissian type of a character. You know what I mean? Like,
I put that in my notes. Yeah. By the way, I made notes, guys. I'm not just this good with this stuff. But yeah, I put serious Lando vibes. That's one of my notes.
Yep.
But cape droid. He had friggin' droids for his cape. That was amazing. I'm like, you can't get any more like bougie than that.
I just wondered when he got to the space pirates, after they were up in his office, and it started getting a little tense. Like, what's going to happen if he has to whip his cape? Are the droids going to go flying? Like, did they let go, or do they just go? He goes to whip his gun out, and you see in the background droids just shooting over his shoulder or something. Mm-hmm. Like, what happens there? But
I want a season 3 Grief Karga Black series now with appropriately scaled cape droids.
Oh, they'll do that. They have a Black series for everything. Seriously,
that'll be outstanding.
We should make our own Black series for hyperspace whale shit.
I'll just go out and get it from the backyard, man. Ace is already manufacturing that stuff daily.
That'd be awesome. Anyways, So we go outside in space.
So we get the info dump first off, just saying like how great Navarro's going, right?
Yep.
Which is cool, and of course Mando has to catch Grief Karga up on why Grogu's even there, and the fact that his name is even Grogu. I love that they kept that through line to realize that just because the audience has been paying attention, Grief Karga has no idea what's been going on in Mando's life.
Well, you know what I kind of took that as? I kind of took that as like a little fan nod, where so many people you'll be like, it's Grogu, and people are like, it's Baby Yoda. Mm-hmm. I thought that was kind of like his name is Grogu. It's like Grief Karga's like, yeah, whatever. Like, doesn't matter. Joe, it's not happening. Dan Long. Do his droids have to help lift his robes up when using the bathroom? Right? Maybe they got little jetpacks so they can lift it up when he's got to take a dump. So they're like floating in the air, and then he wipes and then sits back down and stands up and they float back down. Maybe there's a lot of scat in this episode. What are we doing?
Well, there's a lot of scat in the chat room. Okay, we only brought it up once.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So
man.
So you were saying
we got the pirates next.
Yes. And that was kind of cool, where they come back and they're like, "This is a school." And
this is where I wonder, were we not paying enough attention? If we were super fanboys, would we recognize that facade as a bar from season 1?
Well, that was, when they said it, I recognized what they were going with. But, immediately off the bat, I didn't. I did recognize, the one guy is like, the pirates that were, the super baddies or whatever. But the actual location I didn't until they said something. So
all right, Tommy here in the YouTube chat says that the background is way different. Quit clicking buttons when I'm clicking them, JT. Damn it.
I bring up conversation.
Who's running this thing anyway?
Yeah. Who designed this place? Right. It says, hell no, background way different. Yeah.
Okay, so it's just another random place in Navarro, apparently.
Well, apparently
which is fine. It didn't have to be a callback.
But I think it was. I think that was like that bar where they were hanging out all the time.
Ooh, what if it was the bar? Wait. Okay, now I've got to remember season 1. The bar that they ended up holding up in at the end. Was
Well,
that the same? That was the same bar, right?
That's what I got from it. That's the inference that I took away, that was their bar, and then now it's a school, and they're like, well, we're drinking here or whatever. It's like, okay.
Oh, wait a minute. That's right. Because remember, Grogu ends up like being in the class and getting the space macarons in season 2, and it was that same place.
Yeah,
so there's your through line. Yeah.
So originally it was the bar where the shitty space pirates were. So that's why they were there.
It's the very same bar where Mando first collected the calamari flan for his initial batch of bounties from Grief.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a callback all the way to the first episode. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so I thought that was cool. It made me wonder immediately if like these pirates are going to pop up again, if it's going to be kind of like a recurring, damn it, these guys are back type of thing throughout the season.
Were you thinking maybe Hondo might show up?
No. I mean, there's a guy that looks like Hondo in the crew. If you look, I don't know if you saw that or not. He didn't have the dreads, but Hondo is not like a bad guy. He's kind of like that scoundrel, but I don't think he's somebody they never really used him as like, I mean, perfect comparison, like Cad Bane, Hondo Ohnaka. Like Cad Bane is somebody I could see them using as like a villain in this. Hondo Ohnaka's not that. So, I mean, he's, just like they did in God, what show was it they brought him into? But he was just like there to smuggle stuff. It was kind of like just out for a buck. He wasn't, I'm going to kill you because you're a dickhead type of a thing. So
yeah,
but yeah. So I the pirate flashback was cool. I don't know if it's going to be one of those, hey, they're going to be a recurring enemy thing, or if it's just kind of to really drive the point home that this Navarro is now officially on the good side.
Yeah, it kind of gave me vibes of like when Mando met up with his old crew for the prison heist.
Yeah.
Like it was the same thing where it's just a way to contrast like where the characters are based on where they were.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. The thing that I did like though was apparently Grief Karga is the Waco kid.
Yeah, but I shoot with this hand.
Right. But yeah, man, just blasted right out of the guy's hand. I was like, damn, Karga got some skills. Okay.
He got skills.
Mm-hmm. But you knew Mando was going to get involved, of course, so, So, okay, so they mow down the pirates and leave one alive, which is a great trope. I love that one.
Yeah.
And then Grief tries to conscript Mando as, a marshal.
Yeah.
So you want to bring up the canceled elephant in the room?
What about Marshal Dune? Oh, after, that awesome fight, the Rangers brought her back. She gone.
Yeah.
Okay. See ya. I have to admit I was kind of hoping like they would have brought her back and not like no one knew. So it was like, what about Marshal Dune? Oh, she needs a helper. Here comes Gina Carano back into the picture. Like, oh man, the internet's gonna be awesome. Cancel culture just got shit on.
Right.
Like, but
what do you even do with that character at this point? Do you recast or just leave it alone?
That's an interesting question. I think it was a cool enough character to recast, but dude, honestly, part of me wonders if it's not going to turn into a James Gunn situation eventually, where James Gunn just gets blown out the door, and all of a sudden people are like, "Come on, really? Was it that bad?" Like, and then eventually they bring her back. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying I want it to. I really don't care either way. But it's something that wouldn't surprise me because, like, I her comments, like, I understood contextually what she was trying to say, and it wasn't nearly as bad as some things that other people have said that got completely canceled. You know what I mean? Like, it's on the scale of horrible things to completely lose your gig over. It was kind of a lot lower than other things we've seen.
Can't we call a little like pause on all this stuff and realize we were all a little COVID crazy at the time? Like,
Yeah.
2020 was a perfect shitstorm for everybody to lose their heads. So
Yeah, it was a
maybe
dumb
we just
comment. And,
call it all good and move on.
yeah, I agree. But yeah, I think the character had enough popularity for them to be able to do something else with it. And again, if it's a recast,
I was
that's
excited
fine.
for that Rangers of the New Republic show, which seems to be
Yes.
stillborn at this point.
Yeah. Our cousin getting all political. DeSantis will force Disney to bring her back. Nice.
I love it when we've got a healthy chat section. It makes the show so much more fun.
Wow. That's the whole point of the show is the damn chat.
Right?
So, all right. So, yeah, so they explain away Cara Dune with like 2 sentences, which,
But then,
let's face it, it's brilliant writing.
Right. But then speaking of callbacks, we get the IG-11 statue.
Yeah.
And what do we do about IG-11? I love that he's got to come back, right? I mean, they're not going to like dangle his carrot and then never pay it off.
Well, I mean, he's okay. So he's a statue, and they used whatever they say. It's like he's like the hero of Navarro, and half of it is his actual parts that they could recover. So Mando's like, I need a droid to help me, search the underground regions of Mandalore so I can go in the waters and get cleansed and, tell the armorer to piss off. And he's like, I have to have this droid. So they take the statue apart and take the, basically the top half of IG-88 or IG-11, excuse me.
Sorry. Very different.
And yeah. And they're
don't get our cousin too excited, okay?
yeah, right. Yeah, well, here we go. Joseph Wren with a very good point. George Lucas didn't write it, so there will be no carrots left unfulfilled. That's a good point, man. I know you're like, tongue in cheek in that, but that's a good point.
I think you got it backwards, dude, because remember, he was the one that put Boba Fett in the prequels.
No, I think this new stuff is way more guilty of that than George Lucas ever was.
All right, I'm going to write that down for a future show topic.
Yeah, all right. But yeah, so he, when he takes the top half of IG-88 and he's like, well, I've got to have, or IG-11, damn it. And he's like, I got to have this one. I was like, why? Well, why this particular one? And as soon as he's like, I'm going to bring him back to life, I'm like, watch. Like, I mean, part of this episode, a little bit, it was a slight bit predictable, but I don't think in a bad way. It was kind of like, okay, cool. Like, because as soon as he started futzing with the power and everything, I'm going, okay, but what if, because his nurse droid tendencies were caused by some glitch. So if they're going to revert back to his, if they're going to just start him up from scratch, I'm like, what if he goes back to just, wanting to kill Grogu? And sure enough, he's like, turns red, like, terminate the asset. So
I love that detail, though. Instead of just going like, oh, well, he's back online and he's the same guy he was. They're like, no, like his original programming is there, but the reprogramming that Kawil did is not.
Yeah.
And by the way, creepy as hell, right? Like, it gave me serious Terminator vibes. The way he was just like an upper torso, just crawling and had like no cares about anything besides killing the shit out of Grogu.
Well, and they had like the bottom part of it had like
the toss, and the Grogu toss.
Yeah, the
Remember
Grogu
that? Like,
toss
Mando's
was
like,
good. Yep.
Grief, take him.
Yeah, and then you also had like the bottom half of IG-8 had like the spine sticking out. It looked so human, like it was like this robot spine. I was like, yeah, it was. I mean, just super well done all the way around. The only thing that I didn't really like was the fact that Din Djarin's the one that can protect him the best. He's like, here, Grief, you hold him. It's like you just made him a target. Like, what are you doing? But then, of course, the droid just pushes the statue of Grief Karga over and smashes his head, and then we get the one lone eye roll groan of a joke.
Oh,
that's
God,
using your
yes.
head. Like, that was.
Okay, look, it's no episode 2 C-3PO in the Geonosian arena, okay? I mean, we've had, like, bad puns before. That's not the worst we've seen.
I know, it's just
shot.
I would have loved it to be like, if just do the hot tub time machine where they like break the fourth wall, where he goes, that's
Right.
losing your head, and Grief Karga turns and looks in the camera, is like, just that long really stare.
Yeah.
So we had some. Yeah.
I love that. Put him in the Sarlacc pit, says Joe. But apparently we've got a convert here because our cousin says IG-11 is better than 88.
Yeah,
The IG-88
just
stan
stood there.
is now all about IG-11. Yeah.
There we go. This is a good one from Tommy. He says maybe the arc will be that Din has grown enough to where he will be the one to teach IG-11 how to be a caregiver again.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Okay.
The note I made was just like, what a turnaround, right? This is the guy who started out the series saying no droids, didn't even want a droid Uber, and now he's coming back and being like, hey, that droid that blew up, I need him rebuilt.
Yeah. I wondered, like, shenanigans is hers. Pink starburst. Nice. Well, someone's on board with your candy joke. There we go. So question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't decide. When he's like, no, it has to be this droid. It has to be IG-11. Whatever it is, it has to be IG-11. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, no other droid could do this job and, like, still protect Grogu. Like, or is it really, IG-11 has to be the, like, where do you stand? I don't know quite how to feel about that.
Without getting too metaphysical about it, as far as like, does he need the programming of IG-11 or does he need the body of all that stuff? Where does the soul of the droid end? That kind of crap. I took it as he still doesn't trust droids, but this one has won him over and earned his trust and respect.
Okay. All right. No, you know what? I like that better than the other two. He can only trust one. I like that.
But this whole thing of like, I need all the parts of IG-11. Like, couldn't you just like put the guts or the programming, the CPU of IG-11 in another body that isn't blown up?
we overthink this shit so much, man.
Well,
I thought about like, yeah, kind of like L3 and the Falcon.
I was going to say, yeah. But hey, we're a Star Wars podcast. We're supposed to obsess over this shit.
True.
But yeah, I was thinking like, okay, so you could put like just the
my
consciousness. God. They actually called it a consciousness of L3 into the Falcon's computer. But in Mando's case, he's like, no, I need this guy's arm. I need his legs. I need his head. Like, you really don't. Like, that's not the part that you need.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. Yeah. So, all right. So, yeah. So IG-11 comes back and he's terminate the asset. And they got to, smash him. So, IG-11's out of the picture.
And then we get to your favorite scene, though, because that's not all that happens regarding IG-11. We get the extended scene that we saw in the season 3 trailer. Tell me how happy that made you. Tell me how happy that made Steph to see a whole room full of Babu Fricks.
She knew right away because when they said Droid Smith, I turned and looked at her. She goes, the Babu Fricks. It's the Babu Fricks. Because I told her there's a whole room of Babu Fricks. And when they were talking, they did such a great job mixing like the alien speak with the actual English that you could understand. Because when it's like, I don't understand you, and a few things you could understand, a few things you couldn't. when he's like, binary droid, this one poodoo, like that's phenomenal. I mean, oh my god! And the one thing that I find hilarious is that before I go here, our cousin totes adorbs, right? So I'm totally fine with the puppets. Okay. I don't personally have a problem with them, but it struck me how obvious it was that they were mechanized puppets. So they're like kind of, it's a small world after all, and people will look at that and go, that's way better than CG. Like, why? Because it's obviously fake. Like,
yeah, it's charming, but it's not better.
Yeah, it was really confusing. So, but yeah,
I love my stick shift car, but I'm not going to say it's a better way to change gears in an automobile. Like,
right.
It's just a throwback.
Yep. Yeah, but I thought it was awesome, and I love the humor and like, yeah, it's like cute and everything, and
Dude, were you cracking up with Grief Karga like on his hands and knees playing translator?
Yes,
like
yes. See,
it
that's
made
what
no damn sense. He's like 10 feet away over there, and he's like, he said, like, dude, I'm right here, and hi.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. Like, that's what I was saying at the beginning. Like, this episode to me is like basically perfect outside of the damn Purgles because it has all the really cool Star Wars shit that you want, but it's also got, it runs right up to that line of potentially cheesy, but doesn't go over it. I mean, there's humorous aspects of it. I mean, they pretty much smashed a ton of, OG Star Wars into this. So,
Yes, they did. Yeah. I've actually got a moving on to the next scene if we're ready yet.
Yeah, go for it.
Are you done? Sorry, I kind of cut you off there, so I want to make sure.
No, you're good.
Okay. So then we get to the space battle, right? We go totally episode 2 on this for a second. We got a space battle and an asteroid belt with a prequel era ship with Din Djarin Starfighter. Did you enjoy that? Like, it's kind of funny to see like, how it presents differently when it's early 2000s CG versus the volume and set.
Yeah.
Set, meaning a cockpit.
See, I don't notice the volume like you do, but then again, I'm not looking for it. And even if I saw it, I wouldn't care because it's so goddamn cool, like everything I'm seeing. I definitely got Attack of the Clones vibes from that thing. I mean, it's obvious to get that, but it was kind of like, what if that scene was on steroids? Here's what you get, minus seismic charges. So it was just kind of funny. Like, he's like, okay, he's got 3 pirates on him. That's nothing. Well, then he turns a corner and there's like 6 more of them. And, it's okay. So now he's got like 9 or 10 of them to blow up. And then when he says like, Captain, I'm bringing him to you. And then he pulls around the corner of the asteroid. You get this giant pirate ship. Like, oh shit. So
that was a cool ship design too, wasn't it? Like, I was looking at that.
Yeah.
There's some extended universe ship that's called like a dreadnought or something. It's like a Star Destroyer with the giant beak that this ship had on it. And I was like, oh, are they making that a thing? But then I looked at the scale. I'm like, okay, it's smaller. It's not a giant Star Destroyer. Yeah.
So our cousin says, the Pirate King and his ship were awesome. I hope we see more of both in the future. Yeah, I agree. What was the bad guy in the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie, Barnacle Bill or whatever? What the hell?
Davy Jones.
Davy Jones, yeah. Steph goes, is that Davy Jones in space? With like the main pirate. I was like, wow, okay. So, but I mean, that was kind of cool because it was, I mean, we've never seen an alien like that. So they brought in, they actually brought in a new type of alien. I mean, it was a little weird because it looked like he just had plants stuck to his face. But
it was Swamp Thing in clothes, yes.
It kind of was, yeah. It was one of the retreads from the special edition Return of the Jedi Jabba's Palace. So they hadn't used that one. The guy that looks like he's got like Walmart moss glued to his cheeks.
The one thing that I love though, it's a dumb little detail, but the wipe at the end of the scene, like it just like it was such a classic OG George Lucas way to transition out of the scene. I was like, that's how you make it feel like Star Wars. You just have to do the right scene transition, and I'm totally in. That's it.
Yep. No, I thought it was cool, man. It was a cool little scene. There was a little bit more of the pirates in here than I would have thought. So, again, that's why I wondered, like, okay, are we going to see these characters again? Is this going to be? Are they going to team up with somebody to kick ass at exactly the wrong time for Din Djarin? Like, so it'll be interesting to see where they land. But it was a nice little interlude and cool character, cool ships. I dug it.
If I could make a prediction, I'm going to say that they are coming back. One, because they look really cool. Two, this whole show and like all these like interconnected shows don't seem to really throw anything away, right? Like Book of Boba Fett was a whole mashup of like, what the hell is this? What the hell is that? And then you get to the finale, and then all those things are a thing, like all at once. So that seems to be the formula. Is like you introduce like you got 6 episodes to show off new stuff, and then in the last 2, it all comes together.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. So, all right. So next scene,
Kalevala. We have another. Finally, this whole like Mandalore system, Mandalorian Empire. We finally have a planet name outside of Mandalore. I'm like, oh, it's a pretty shitty empire if you only got one planet, right?
Yeah.
But apparently Kalevala is one. So we got that, and that's apparently where Bo-Katan's been hanging out. But pretty lonesome, it seems, huh?
Yeah. At first, I was wondering if it was going to be like a version of Mon Cala, because Kalevala, Mon Cala, and they show a ton of water. So I was like, okay. But then you see the castle, and you're like, no. So I knew who was in there. Hold on. Our cousin.
Yeah.
I predict the space whales attack the pirate ship. Maybe they could take each other out. Mutually assured destruction.
You're exactly. Because you got to remember this one, because I feel like that's going to come back to be true. Can we put that on DraftKings? Can we make a prop bet about that?
Shit that happens on Mando is going to be on DraftKings.
Right. I want to see Jamie King talking about that.
Yeah. So yeah, we get Bo-Katan, she returns immediately. And I am sorry if I'm being ignorant here. When Din Djarin's like, yeah, I got the Darksaber.
It's pronounced ignorant, by the way.
Sorry, I'm being ignorant. Why am I not remembering that Din Djarin still has the Darksaber? I thought he didn't have it. Am I
she
wrong?
refused to take it.
Oh, that's right.
It can't just be given. It has to be won in battle. And then they got cut off by the whole Dark Trooper attack.
Okay. So he does have it. Okay. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. Like, I thought, but okay. So, yeah, so she basically says, when she didn't return with the Darksaber, they were like, well, F you, we're heading out. We're going to be bounty
Right.
hunters and stuff. And like, oh, okay.
Mandalorians are really shitty people, it seems like.
Yeah. See, and this is what I don't understand is like, how can you not be a Mandalorian but be the leader of Mandalore? Because like he's not a Mandalorian because he took his helmet off, but he's the leader of Mandalore because he's got the Darksaber. So which one outweighs which? Like what the
Right. Like if Moff Gideon had been like, Mandalorians to me, would that have been a thing?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And besides,
It's vague.
and if he's
Very
got the
vague.
Darksaber, it'd be even better. He's got the damn Darksaber. When he blew up that like alligator thing in the beginning of the episode, and she was still a total prick about you're still not a Mandalorian. Just take the Darksaber out and chop her goddamn head off. Be like, F you. I'm a Mandalorian, bitch. Like I got the Darksaber. Just up yours. Like that. Just offer. Go find another armorer. All she is a smelter. It's not like she's that big of a deal. She melts Beskar and makes it into shapes. She's a blacksmith. That's all she is. Go get another blacksmith. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Seriously. Screw the armorer. I'm off the armorer train.
Look,
Screw her. She's a dick.
It's a small clan. Apparently, armorers are hard to come by, I guess.
It's just it mirrors real life. So, real life businesses are having a hard time finding new employees, and if you kill the armorer, so will the Mandalorians have a hard time finding
Right.
another blacksmith.
Smelter didn't even delter.
Smelter wasn't even near. So
One other thing I noticed in because it was a little bit of an info dump, just basically catching up on like what Bo-Katan was doing.
yeah.
But the one thing I noticed is he asks her directly, like, so you've given up on your goal of retaking Mandalore? And she sidesteps it with another question. Like, she did not answer that.
Yeah.
So I love this whole thing where, like, she's kind of an ally, but kind of not because she's a rival,
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a Clone Wars callback and a bad voice impersonation. But
This whole show
yeah,
is
like
a Clone Wars callback, dude.
right. Oh my God, that's the one. Okay, now could we do a wrap up, because that's where the show ends. The show ends with basically she's like, "Great, you want to go to the friggin' mines? Here's where you get to the mines.
Yeah.
You're gonna fail, but sure, there you go."
That's also the third thing, is that it's like, he's got to get to the mines of Mandalore. So there's one. Oh, but he's got to get a part for IG-11. There's two. And then getting everybody back together is, to me, a third. It's like, okay, so how is this all going to, come to fruition? And we've still got, Moff Gideon out there basically starting the First Order or whatever. I mean, there's all this different stuff going on. So it'll be interesting to see how they tie it together, especially in just 8 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So, All right.
Yeah,
So
it's
anyway,
gonna be
sorry to cut you
interesting.
off. I know you said you're doing a wrap up of the episode here. So
But yeah, so that's that was kind of what I was going to go with was like, okay, so what did we learn in this episode, right? And what we learned is that apparently, like you said, we're going to get IG-11, and Bo-Katan told Mando where he has to go to get to the mines and redeem himself.
Mhm.
And that was basically it. And I guess the last thing is that since he has the Darksaber, if he needs help, he can just call all the Mandalorians to him.
rally the clans. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was an interesting place to leave it because it was just kind of like left dangling on a thread. They're very much more in the here's a chapter of a story thing instead of like here's a satisfying, 1 week story in
Yeah.
itself kind of thing. How do you feel about that? Do you like the segmented storytelling, or would you rather you had like a more satisfying wrap up?
I much prefer this way. Real quick before I answer, her cousin says she never takes off her helmet. You could smelt her from a mile away.
I was thinking about that halfway through this recap because when he walks in after that damn crocodile attack, she's facing away from him and then just starts saying like, "You took your helmet off. You're not even a Mandalorian anymore." Like, how the hell did you know it was him? Well, because
Yeah, they all certain stench.
God, they
Probably
smell so bad.
He probably doesn't smell. Now that he took his helmet off, he's already screwed. He can just take it. He showers. The rest of them smell like ass. So he walks in smelling like frickin' Old Spice, and she's like, "Oh, it's that Din Djarin again." Like, yes, I prefer it this way, the segmented storytelling, because it feels like, first of all, they have less episodes, which I think is a benefit. As much as I love having more content, I think we're seeing with the new season of The Bad Batch, and we saw this a lot with Rebels, and I love the new season of Bad Batch. I don't like it as much as the first so far, but I think what we're seeing is the malady of pointless episodes, where okay, you've got this episode that doesn't really seem to fit with the greater storyline. I'm like, okay, why did we need that? Whereas when they do this sort of thing in The Mandalorian, everything makes sense, and they don't have time to waste on shit that doesn't further the storyline. Whereas when you're doing 16, 20 episodes in a season, you can kind of screw around and get a little loose with it. And that's what she said. And I just much prefer it staying on track. Like I love the stories they're telling. So when you get off track and just dick around with it and just kind of like, yeah, here's this, Bad Batch season 2, perfect example, the racing episode. What was that? Like that meant nothing. Like we're gonna go racing. Why? What's the point? So I mean, there's nothing about the Empire. There's nothing about Crosshair. They left season 1 on such a huge cliffhanger of, holy shit, like Kamino's gone, like the stakes are huge, and you're basically pod racing for an episode. Like what? I like that Mando does the segmented storytelling. I mean, it's just so much more concise and focused, I think, which I prefer. Where do you stand?
I agree with you on that. Like, I don't want any filler episodes, especially when we only got 8 per season. There's no time for that. But where I was coming from was more like comparing season 1, for example, to season 2 and 3, where season 1, pretty much every chapter it continued the story, but it was also self-contained. Like, there was a resolution to that episode's story arc when it concluded. So like season 1, I'm trying to think of one in particular, but even something like say episode 3, The Sin, where Din goes back to basically reclaim Grogu because he realizes he can't let him be given off to the remnants of the Empire, for example. Like, he gets him back, and that's the resolution of that episode. It does continue the story of the season, but also it's not like they left him. They left you on a cliffhanger of did he get him or didn't he? It was just no, he's got him. Like, that's the end of that, and we'll find out next week where they're going next with the story. Whereas this one was just Yeah. He got some info, and well, that's our time. So tune in next week. And so that's the difference that I'm noticing is that now they're just like, look, it's a whole season. You're going to tune in again. So we're not going to really worry about making every week be its own self-contained, satisfying story itself.
Yeah, and like I said, I prefer it that way. And I thought you used the term info dump a couple times tonight, and I think the whole episode was kind of an info dump to set up where things are going, with this season. And I'm okay with it because I thought it was handled nicely. There was action, and it was interesting, and it wasn't just a bunch of jump to this. Here's what's going to happen. Jump to next scene. Here's what's going to happen. I thought it was handled very well and very Star Wars-y. So I thought it was great. I mean, I'm always excited for new episodes of this show. And this one really made me excited to check out the next one. So,
yeah.
It just feels like the stakes are getting bigger and bigger as this show goes on. Like, I was really worried after the first season, like, how are they going to top this? And then they did. It's like, and if you want to say they didn't, it's at least as good. And I think this one is starting out looking like it's going to be even better, which is really cool because, again, something like Mando is... Live action Star Wars is kind of difficult because, again, we've seen with the animated series, there can be a tendency to wander. So to keep people's attention and to really make something that's really riveting in a medium where we're used to 2 hours and 15 minutes out, to extend that to basically, what would it end up being like? They're each episode's like 35, 40 minutes or something. So you're talking about however,
320 minutes.
Yeah, so like
under 6 hours.
Yeah, well, let's just say 6 hours. I mean, you're talking about almost triple the length of a movie, and it just rolls, it flows, and it's really, really cool. And I think it's a prime example of the best way to tell a Star Wars story, an elongated one, is to write your story and then chop it up into however many pieces are going to be required. Which still
or write your story and then pad it out when your movie gets canceled.
Man,
sorry, I won't stop taking digs at Kenobi. That thing was a friggin' letdown.
Oh my God, my comment was just going to be, I will die on that hill that it was awesome. All right, then we're going to have a Kenobi cage match. Kenobi cage match. There we go.
All right.
Okay, JT and AJ enter the octagon. There we go. It's got to be Kenobi cage match, but cage with a K.
Yeah, right.
I wasn't kidding.
So I had, right. How many K puns can we get in here?
Yeah,
Let's see.
Exactly.
So I had one other question for you because I didn't even realize this because we're friggin' nerds and we watch everything. So it might have slipped by. But for the casual fans, for example, who maybe they watch The Mandalorian, maybe they don't even catch every episode of The Mandalorian. For anyone who didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett, if you remember, at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, Grogu goes off with Luke. At the start of season 3 of The Mandalorian, Grogu is hanging out with Mando again.
Yes.
That was all resolved in Book of Boba Fett. What do you think about that? Because it didn't even occur to me that they basically took a major plot point of this series and resolved it in another series.
It's interesting.
Is that good corporate synergy to like draw people to other shows, or is that a little sloppy to expect people that they have to go watch this other thing to make sense of it?
It makes me question why the Book of Boba Fett was necessary. Because if it almost makes it seem to me like they just wanted to give people more Boba Fett because the character is so popular, but then also play off of the success of The Mandalorian. So it's like, was Book of Boba Fett there just to tell that little story of, hey, here's how Grogu ends up back with Mando, or was it there to flesh out the character of Boba Fett?
There were 7 episodes of that, I think, right? Not 8?
Yeah, or it might have been 6. I don't remember.
Well, 2 of them were Mandalorian episodes, basically.
Look at this. Our
And there's
cousin.
one where he gets the new ship, and then there's one with it's pretty much all Grogu and Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. Our cousin says, I also predict the Mandalorian is referring to Grogu. I don't know if you're kidding or not on that one. Yeah.
He's a foundling.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I don't have a problem with them doing that because in a way it's kind of cool because when you're telling this bigger story, the way The Mandalorian is, to have to spend like 2 or 3 episodes on getting Grogu back makes it more about Grogu than The Mandalorian, and the show is about Din Djarin. So I think it's kind of cool that they did it that way. I mean, and because, I mean, let's face it. If you're a fan of The Mandalorian, did you not watch The Book of Boba Fett? I mean, there might be some people that are just... There might be some
we had
people
this conversation come up, for example, with like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, where a lot of WandaVision ties into that movie. And you're like, okay, so you can't make sense of this movie you went to go see because you didn't watch this TV series first? Like, I love how like they kind of write it in such a way that you're not supposed to need the backstory and the interconnected stuff, but then if you have it, it's that much more, enriching.
Yeah.
But in this case, they just took a major plot point of this show and paid it off in another show.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. This is one of those things where I don't have a problem with it. But I can see where people might. So it doesn't bother me. It's kind of cool to do it that way because it's like, all right, we still want to tell this story, but we don't want to take, 3/8 of our season with the main show to do it. It's not that important, but it does need told, and you can't tell that story in a half hour. Like Grogu, goes off with Luke, but then within like 3 days, he's like, fuck this Force shit, I'm out of here, and
Boy, the mouth on that kid.
Yeah. What if everything he says is like a curse? Like they were talking about the droids, like R2, like everything he says is a curse word because it's all beeps and boops. But yeah, I like it. I think it's cool again because I think it lets them focus on the bigger story in The Mandalorian and not get sucked down into the minutia, even though that minutia is helpful to have when you see the, the stuff with Ahsoka and Luke and all that kind of crap. So, yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I didn't even realize that was a thing because, of course, we watch it all. And I'm just like, okay, fine. We get to watch The Mandalorian for 2 episodes, not even realizing, oh, it's the Book of Boba Fett. If you're only watching Mando, you don't know this.
Yeah.
It's just Grogu's back and Mando's got a new ship all of a sudden. Okay.
Well, it's also, I mean, it'd be kind of cool. Like, I hope that people that are just kind of like casual fans that watch The Mandalorian, like they'll watch all of The Mandalorian, but they don't go for other Star Wars shows. I hope somehow it gets around to them that like, okay, well, if you want to see something cool, watch, whatever it is, like episodes 3, 4, 5, or whatever it was of the Book of Boba Fett, because you'll get basically Mandalorian season 2.5, and you get some backstory as to how all of a sudden, Grogu's back. Like that'd be kind of cool because it's something interesting for them to experience, to see it that way. So
yeah, it's like the TV equivalent of the inset editor's note in a comic book where, character will make a reference to something happening and then it's just a little inset like this happened in Fantastic Four episode 356.
Yeah.
Note.
Right.
Like call out, maybe buy that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
So we got a good start to season 3, don't we?
We have a great start to season 3. I'm very, very excited, and I'm very excited to go watch the new episode of Bad Batch right now, and I'm hoping that.
There's something we forgot.
Well, I was so busy watching
poor show.
Mando. I did
Right, exactly.
I like it, but again, it's had a couple of these pointless episodes, and I mean, real quick, and then we'll get out of here because we're at over an hour, but I just, the whole season 1 thing with Crosshair, like it was kind of a dark shadow looming over everything. Like, okay, is he going to just pop out somewhere and try and blow somebody away? Like, you don't know where he is. He's doing missions for the Empire, but is he like hunting his ex teammates. Like, you don't know where Crosshair is. He's always that kind of what if. And now they haven't mentioned him in several episodes, and it doesn't have that feel, because the last time they did, he was kind of like, it seemed like he was kind of having a change of heart. At least they were kind of teasing that, you know. So, and again, there's too many pointless episodes so far for me, and I think it stems from I forget the green alien's name. What's the woman, whatever her name is, that they're doing missions for? Like,
Sid.
okay, like, yeah, Sid. So they're just stuck with this Sid person, and it seems like, okay, why are we stuck on them working for her instead of furthering the story of, you know, the Empire and stuff? Like, I mean, the last episode was cool. You see how the Stormtrooper thing came about. That was huge. That was awesome. So give me more of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need pod racing or, you know, these last, was it 2 episodes where they end up on this planet digging for some shit and they lose their ship. And then they get their ship. It's like, I don't need that. That does absolutely nothing for me. And now you lost what's his name? Echo.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're down to 3 of the original 5. So it's like, oh, okay. All right. So
yeah, like I said, I haven't watched it because, I mean, you got the season premiere of Mando and Bad Batch is in the middle of its season, which, if there's nothing else going on, yeah, I love my Bad Batch, but I'd rather watch Mando.
yeah.
Let's be honest.
Well, at least, you know, Bad Batch has grabbed me, whereas the Clone Wars did not. So at least that's something new. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, on that note, why don't we close up shop for the evening? Thank you guys all for tuning in. Our good friend Joseph Friend, again, so very sorry for your loss, man. Our good cousin Chris. We have bad cousins. He's a good one. Our awesome cousin Chris. Love you, buddy. Good to see you. Tommy L. Dan Long. Appreciate you guys. Shenanigans is here for jumping in on the candy joke. So yeah, this was a blast, dude. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season, and we'll be right back here in 2 weeks. The date will be Wednesday, March 15th.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, and this is not a set thing, but I may want to talk about Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 2. But I don't know if enough people have seen Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 1. So we'll figure it out. But we're basically planning the rest of the year out in terms of episodes. So we're going to have all of our stuff planned. But yeah, this was a blast. And I believe, before I get to the closeout here, I think you forgot to plug something of ours.
Well, you know, it's a good thing I did, because it started out as a disaster, like this show. So, you know, we're trying to you know, do what the kids do and get with TikTok.
Do what the kids do.
Yeah, exactly. So I have no idea what we're going to do with our TikTok channel yet, but we have one. There is nothing on it yet, so don't worry about that. The goal, though, the idea was we could like hop on and do like some quick live streams there and stuff. Just really oddball stuff. If I'm like in a Target and I, you know, see a new Star Wars Lego set or something, whatever. But we need 1,000 followers on TikTok before we can live stream. So the idea is you go to TikTok, you go to our watch and listen page on our website, for example, and you get a link over to our TikTok page. Sign up as a follower, because the more people we can get to do that, then the faster we can get to that 1,000 follower level, and then we can go live, and that's the best way it's going to be to hit us up between episodes. You know, anytime we're going live, hop into the chat. We'll talk back and forth. It'll be a good time. So, yeah, and in the meantime, what I might be doing with our Twitch channel, which is also kind of a thing, kind of not, once I figure out how to get my stupid browser to work properly, I did try to go live for a live reaction as I was watching this season premiere of Mando tonight. So make sure you sign up as a follower on our TikTok as well. I'm sorry, TikTok, Twitch. Too many platforms, man.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, make sure you follow us on Twitch as well, and we'll be doing. I'll probably do some live reacts for like episodes as they come out, and then we'll hop on after the fact and we'll talk about them here on the main show.
Yep. And then I would like to use the WTF Fridays for some Star Wars Trivial Pursuit. Since you now have the ability to do like a multi-screen thing, you'll have to run the board, but we can actually get on here and do Star Wars Trivial Pursuit, and I would like to do that sometime.
Star Wars game nights, absolutely.
We will definitely do that. So, once again, guys, thank you for tuning into another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. We will be right back here on Wednesday, March 15th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on YouTube and on Facebook. Remember, if you are watching on YouTube, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and smash that notification bell. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC. Go there for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. And don't forget, you can get customizable Nerf Herder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. So until next time, I am your host, JT, at Dog Pound Jedi. He is AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
And we will catch you next time.